Hello and welcome to Maths Exam Cruncher channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the quadratic formula to solve quadratic equations. Let's remind ourselves of the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is one of the methods of solving quadratic equations. It tells us that if we have a quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, for example, the equation 3x squared minus 11x plus 2 equals 0, then we can use the values of a, b, and c in the formula x equals minus b plus and minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a to find the solutions of the quadratic equation. Of course, there is a plus and minus sign here that doesn't exist on the calculator, but I'll explain in the examples that will follow that what it means and how to use it. We must also note that there is a 4 and a 2 as part of the formula, and the other numbers that we use are taken from the quadratic equation. And also we don't need to memorize this formula as it will be given on the IGCSE maths paper on the formula sheet. So we notice that the first step in using the quadratic formula is to identify the values of a and b and c from the equation and then substitute them into the formula. An exam style question. Solve the equation 2x squared plus 6x plus 1 equals 0 and give your answers to 2 decimal places. This part of the question is the hint that tells us that we must use the quadratic formula. So if you see this in any question, then you already know that you have to use the quadratic formula. We know that the first step is to identify the values of a and b and c from the equation. And we can see that the value of a is the coefficient of x squared, which is 2. The value of b is the coefficient of x, which is 6. And the value of c is the number without x, which is 1. We then substitute these into our quadratic formula and we get x equals fraction. On the top of the fraction, we have minus the value of b, so we have minus 6 plus minus square root. Inside the square root, we have the value of b squared, so we write 6 squared minus 4 times the value of a, which is 2 times the value of c, which is 1, and it's over 2 times the value of a, which is 2. Once again, we notice that the 4 and 2 are part of the formula and the other numbers are taken from the quadratic equation. Also, we have this plus and minus sign here that tells us that we must get 2 solutions. One with using the plus sign and the other one with using the minus sign. So what we're going to do is that we're going to use the calculator and type exactly the same fraction with exactly the same numbers into our calculator, once with the plus sign and then with the minus sign. So we press the fraction button, and on the top of the fraction we have minus 6 plus square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 2 times 1, and then at the bottom of the fraction we have 2 times 2. We press the equal button, it gives us the answer in fraction, but then we can change it into decimal by pressing this S to D button. So that gives us the answer in decimal, which is minus 0.177 ... and then we round it to 2 decimal places as the question wants, which will be minus 0.18. Then as you can see here in the first solution, we've used the plus sign. Now we want to use the minus sign. We don't need to clear the screen of our calculator. We only use the left arrow button on the calculator, and we keep going back until we reach to the left hand side of the square root sign, and then we delete the plus sign and then replace it with the minus sign, and we press the equal button on the calculator. That gives us the solution again in fraction, and then we press the S to D button to get the solution in decimal, which is minus 2.822 dot dot dot, and then we round it to 2 decimal places, which is minus 2.82. So this way we have obtained the two solutions to our quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. Another exam style question. Solve the equation 4x squared plus x minus 7 equals 0 and give your answers to 2 decimal places. Again, we've noticed the hint that tells us that we must use the quadratic formula. So we identify the values of a, b, and c from the equation. A is the coefficient of x squared, so it's 4. B is the coefficient of x, although there is no number in front of x, but we know that it's 1, so b is 1. And the value of c is minus 7. We then substitute these into our quadratic formula to get x equals fraction. On the top we have minus b, which is minus 1, plus minus square root of, inside the square root we have b squared, 1 squared, minus 4 times the value of a, which is 4, times the value of c, which is minus 7, and we always put any negative number inside brackets. And then at the bottom of the fraction we have 2 times the value of a. Once again, because of the plus and minus sign here, we are going to get 2 solutions, one with plus sign and one with minus sign. So we get our calculator up here, press fraction button, and then type all the numbers in. Minus 1 plus square root of 1 squared minus 4 times 4 times brackets minus 7 brackets closed, and then we go to the bottom of the fraction and we have 2 times 4. Press equal and then S to D, and that gives us the answer of 1.203 dot dot dot, and then we round it to 2 decimal places to get 1.20. Then again, we don't change the screen of our calculator. We only need to go back to the left hand side of the square root sign, then change plus into minus, and then press equal, and then S to D. That gives us the second solution of the quadratic equation, which is minus 1.453 dot dot dot, and then we round it to 2 decimal places, which is minus 1.45. So we get 2 solutions. One of them is 1.20 and the second one is minus 1.45. And the final exam style question. Solve the quadratic equation 7x squared minus 25x plus 2 equals 0 and give your answers to 2 decimal places. Again, we have the hint in the question that tells us that we must use the quadratic equation, quadratic formula. We know that the first step is to identify the values of a, b, and c from the equation. The value of a is the coefficient of x squared, which is 7. The value of b is minus 25, it's negative, minus 25, and the value of c is 2. And then we substitute these values into our quadratic formula to get x equals fraction. On the top of the fraction we have minus, and then since the value of b is negative, we put it inside brackets, minus 25 inside brackets, plus minus square root, and inside the square root we have the value of b squared. Since b is negative, you put it inside brackets, minus 25 squared. Then we have minus 4 times the value of a, 7 times the value of c, 2. And then it's over 2 times the value of a, which is 7. Then because of the plus and minus sign, we'll get two solutions, plus and minus. And then we use the calculator, fraction button, minus brackets minus 25 brackets closed, plus square root of brackets minus 25 squared minus 4 times 7 times 2, and at the bottom of the fraction we have 2 times 7. We press the equal button and then S to D, and we get the first solution as 3.489 ... which rounded to 2 decimal places is 3.49. Then on the calculator we just go back and then change plus into minus and then equal and then S to D, which gives us the second solution as 0.0818 ... and then rounded to 2 decimal places, it will give us 0.08.